Hi everyone, I am Ben Buckingham from Identity. I'm talking about ISO migration on Corda and how we deal with data a little bit differently. We're from a company called Identity based in Sydney, Australia. We have an overlay service for payment networks that lets you carry enriching information across those payment networks. International payments are moving to ISO. There's different time periods where that's happening in legacy infrastructure. In Europe, we've got Target 2 and we've got Swift moving onto ISO. A lot of the banks that we deal with haven't quite considered all of the implications of what that migration will look like, and some of the programs to kick that off are only just really beginning. ISO is a standard for payment messages that lets you carry rich information. So it's an XML-based format that lets you carry additional fields. There's a range of new functionality from ISO. The first one is the ability to carry structured information. So typically, historically in payment messages, a lot of the information has been unstructured, which causes challenges with sanction screening and other processes. It also carries through the ultimate creditor and debtor information so that you can more easily identify who money is for and from, and then also provides more information about what the payment is for, which helps with suppliers to reconcile their payments. The problem for banks in terms of migrating to ISO is that it can be a really expensive process. There's a range of legacy infrastructure that needs to be upgraded, and the current systems will lead to data loss in that transformation process. I'll talk a bit more about that. The other thing is that banks need to be able to have the customer experience that ISO allows, and if they don't have that, then they'll be losing out on their ability to provide that better customer experience. So right now there's two main ways of doing migration to ISO. One is to replace all of your core banking infrastructure and move it to an ISO compatible payment engine. For a lot of banks that's a $100 to $500 million project. The other option is to use the central translation service. The challenge with that is that as you convert from MX to MT back to MX, you lose all of the richness in that data. So whilst it's compliant, you're not getting any of the benefits of ISO. So what we're looking at is a way to solve some of these complexities. So even within ISO, there's different dialects. So in the European version, you've got structured addresses, and in the USD version, there's unstructured addresses. So that'll cause challenges with sanction screening and a range of other processes that have to happen, which will lead to higher cost US dollar payments. So what we've created is an alternative structure to that, which is the ability to move to ISO without any of the data truncation, without upgrading all of the payment engines. So what we do is we actually take in the rich information, we transform it, and then we enrich it again. So this is in a single bank example. So we effectively create a data bridge that lets you upgrade to ISO payments without actually changing the underlying infrastructure. And so what's happening here is that we're bringing in all of the rich information, feeding it through the legacy payment infrastructure, and then enriching it on the other side. So this is all in a single bank context to support them with that upgrade. The biggest challenge, though, is that when you've got different market infrastructures in different countries that are sending ISO payments, is that your ability to transmit the richness is limited by the weakest link. So in this example, if you've got an intermediary that's using central translation, you lose all of the richness that is coming from those payment messages, which means, again, that you're not getting the full benefit of ISO, and potentially causing challenges with their ability to comply with FATF regulation, etc. So what we do to combat this is bring in our tokenization platform, which enables us to link up the different payment messages that are traveling and provide that richness across any bank in the network. And that's the use case for us to deploy Corda and bring blockchain into the equation. So what we're doing here is extending it out from the single bank information bridge to be able to provide the richness of information to any bank along the payment chain, effectively enabling the payment to move in its existing process, which can be a domestic payment message or over the Swift network, but then using our platform backed by Corda to enable that richness to be transmitted to any actor in the network. Thank you very much, and we are Identity. Thanks.